We're going to be walking through how to troubleshoot common problems with a discussion diamond. A discussion diamond is a strategy that can help your students when they are discussing a certain topic and they might be debating back and forth. They first kind of do a think, pair, share. After they do their think, pair, share, they come back together to come up with the best answer for their group. So, again, it takes a lot of different skills in order to have a discussion diamond be successful. And we're going to be using the tool Cami today. So, the first thing is the research. Classroom discussions can have a 0.83 effect size, and this is conducted by John Hattie, who did a research study that showed anything above a zero point 0.4 shows a year's growth. So, being at a 0.83 is a very impactful instructional strategy. However, it can also have a negative effect if it is not implemented correctly. And so, using discussion diamonds can be a great way to create this protocol so that way your students are having on topic and they are problem solving together their discussions. And they're also using that active listening too. So, here's kind of the what, why, and when, and the how. This is also suggested by John Hattie to provide learning clarity to your students. And one way that you can do this is by answering those questions: the what, the why, the when, and the how students will be learning this activity. And so at the beginning of the lesson, I like to just quickly give students an overview of what they'll be doing for today. So that way the expectations are set and extremely clear for students to know what the expectation is. So, again, the purpose of that discussion diamond is to help students have a productive classroom discussion. We are going to be helping them with critical thinking, that active listening, and respectful dialogue when they are working with their classmates. It's also a structure that students are able to reflect on their own thoughts, think about others, and they're also able to compare and contrast with their peers. We're learning this protocol because in the real world, it's really important to have discussions and use active listening when working with others. And so, right now, students will be able to have a protocol. However, later in life, they might not always have this protocol. And so, because they will have this in school, they will be able to have different sentence starters embedded in their brain, and it will allow them to consider other people's perspectives and help them develop those communication skills. When will we know that students have learned it? When they are able to discuss and use critical thinking, active listening, collaboration, and respectful dialogue. So, for today's session, we're going to do a quick overview. We're going to do a discussion diamond, and then we're going to have a recap on how to complete this discussion diamond using Cami. So, the first thing is responses. Sometimes I see a discussion diamond and it's just text. However, there can be a lot of empowerment when you give your students choice. It can help improve that accessibility, that creativity, multisensory approaches, and communication. And one tool that you're able to use to allow your students this choice is Cami. And so, again, we're going to go over 3 features where we can add student choice to your students. So right here is that discussion diamond. I made it in Google Slides. Feel free to edit your own copy. You can change the questions or you can change the names as well. I'm going to click this button right here, Open with Cami. This button is right here because I've downloaded the extension and I'm all signed in and ready to go. Now that I'm logging into Cami, I can see my discussion diamond on the second page. So again, I like to provide that clear overview of each of the different steps for my students. And then on the second page is the activity. This is going to be shared with students so that anybody with the link can edit. Now, I could control the features where my students are only able to have the comment tools to be able to respond. However, I'm going to leave all of them on just in case students need some accessible tips or tools to help them with this activity. And then I can share this with this group. So now that I'm on here, we're going to go down to the comments area because we're really going to focus on 3 ways for students to respond. Students can use the text comment where they are able to write a comment and use the keyboard to type their response. Another option is the voice comment where students can use their voice. And then the final one is that video comment. And all you have to do is click one of these. This one right here is screen capture. So we're going to kind of combine these ones together where students could record their own voice, or they could go to another website or keep it on the Kami page and explain using their screen. So what you're going to do is once you have the option, you're going to click one of these. And then students are going to find their box. They're going to click and then they can start typing their answer right here. Students can also use audio. So again, they just click in their box. Once they click, it does start recording. So they will need to be ready to record their answer after they've kind of thought about it and what they want to say about their answer. So I'm okay and I'm ready to record my answer. So again, I'm going to grab this and I click. A hot dog is indeed a sandwich, since it involves a filling, the sausage, between two slices of bread, that's the bun. According to the definition of a sandwich, it is a food item that has a filling between two pieces of bread, is what the definition says. Once students are done, they're able to pause, and now they're recording and their thoughts are right on the Kami. This student might use the comment box where they might disagree and they might say, a hot dog is not a sandwich. And then they can explain why. Over here, this student could use the video comment where their face or maybe their screen is capturing maybe an example of a hot dog and they're using their mouse to point out the different features. So, three different ways for students to provide an answer to is a hot dog a sandwich, all within Kami. So, again, allowing students that voice and choice in their answers can be extremely helpful for students when they're debating is a hot dog a sandwich. And again, on this template in this Google slide, you're just going to make a copy. You can change your topic. And then right here, you're able to add your students' names, or you can leave it blank and allow your students' choice on where they want to respond. Because this is the first time I'm doing this, I sometimes do like to use a silly question like, is a hot dog a sandwich? So students can understand the protocol with a low cognitive activity. So they just need to know a hot dog and what that is. And again, using that low cognitive can really help students focus on the topic and the procedure of the discussion diamond. And I also would like to add the students' names because it makes it a little bit easier on my classroom management. But eventually I could remove that scaffold and students would just kind of know what to do. But since this is the first time we're doing it, those are two things that I like to do: low cognitive and add their names right onto the board. So again, using Kami can provide that voice and choice with how students are going to respond to our question using that discussion diamond. Some students might use audio, some students might feel empowered to use text, other students might choose to use video to explain their answer. So the first step when we're doing this discussion diamond, which we kind of saw already, is every single student is going to think silently first. And then I want you to practice using the tools. So use the tool, add a text comment, add a voice comment, or add a video comment, whatever one you feel most comfortable to try. And give it a shot. Think about, is a hot dog a sandwich? And we're going to use 30 seconds for our group to respond. So again, silent thinking, and you're going to respond, and you're just responding in your own corner for now. All right, time's up. I hope you were able to give one of these tools a try. You remember I used that audio comment to answer my questions. Students are able to put on their headphones and relay to their response, and they can add additional text comments or they could use voice typing as well to support that answer. Students can also retry and redelete and re-record their answer as well if they needed. However, 30 seconds for this activity is pretty quick, and you're able to change out these timers. So if, let's say, you have more time, you are able to maybe add a minute or 2 minutes of think time for your students to complete a question, depending on what the question is asking and what type of answers you are looking for as well. Step number 2. So now that every single person has responded individually, what students can do now is they are ready for step 2. So now they're going to share their responses to the group. It's about 7 seconds here because, again, it's going to be a quick 30-second share out. And what you could do is you can have students put on their headphones and they can listen to each of those different audio recordings, or you can just have students summarize what they wrote, what they said, or what they recorded. That's completely up to you. For this, I'm going to just have students share. So again, I would set that timer on step number 2, and my students would then just share and listen to each other. They're not making comments, they're just actively listening to each other and what they're saying. You might have your students jot down some notes, or they could even use the comment feature on Kami, and they could respond and kind of add some notes or jot what that person said onto what they already have recorded or typed up. And then the final step is step number 3. And that is one student, and typically I like to give some type of parameter like the shortest letter in their name, creates the summary in the discussion of what the group agreed or disagreed on. So this is kind of coming up with that best answer from the group. What did most people say? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes or no? And this person is responsible to provide that answer and provide that why a hot dog is a sandwich or whatever your topic is. So once students do that, they will begin to work. And again, they have student choice where they can use that text comment, that voice comment, or that video comment to record their response. And what is also great is the group members are helping the writer. So they are helping them by discussing important details that were discussed. And you might want to provide your students some sentence starters to help them, such as like, John said this, which was a really good point, or that resonated with me when this person said that. And so, again, that can be really helpful. And you might want to create a helpful sheet for your students to help them with that active listening part where they have those sentence starters to really dive the discussion and help create that consensus. So on here, students again will decide which one they want to do. They click and then they can edit their group's answer right here. As students are working as the teacher, I'd like to come in and leave some comments as well. So right here, I'll do text comments. I've already loaded up a bunch of comments throughout where I can give some compliments to my students as they're working. So again, I like to kind of pull here and I can see all the comments that I have added right onto my Kami. And I will just click and I'll maybe say what I love Jim did. And so then I can say something about I love, and then over here in my feedback bank, I can click which one I wanted to say. So again, I preloaded these. So then when students are working, I can come in and I can also change the color. So that way they know it was me over here giving feedback. And then I can have my students see what I'm giving them feedback on as they're working together to come up with that group consistency. As a teacher, again, giving that on the spot immediate feedback can be really helpful to boost my students' confidence while they're working on the discussion diamond. And again, you can change the timers here if you need to. I did 30 seconds just to show you how to add the timer within, but you can totally change that timer to fit your classroom needs to provide a longer think time and longer discussion if needed. You can also extend this activity by having students share to the whole group. And then you can compare and contrast their summaries and their group consistence with each other to help them grow as individual students and to kind of see what others are thinking as well. So here is that template. Again, feel free to make a copy and use it in your classroom and edit that question or use that for your first question with your students. It can be a great way to help your students think outside the box and learn this great protocol when it comes to classroom discussion. So let's recap. A classroom discussion using Kami can be really helpful when you are trying to embed student choice. Typically with discussion diamonds, you're able to just have students write. But with Kami, you're able to allow them to provide some choice and voice with how they respond by using those tools of the comment feature. So again, students are able to leave a text comment, voice comments, or they can add that video comment to respond. Every student gets a choice in how they respond to that question on the discussion diamond. Students can also work on perspectives. They are able to hear other students in their group and work collaboratively. Kami allows them to click the share document as a teacher, and I can allow all my students to be editor. And again, I can change those control features if I wanted to, but all my students are collaborating. They're working to get a different perspective from each person in the group. Also, the last thing is solving. Students are able to work together to solve problems and compromise. This is a great way for students to see other perspectives and take into the different concerns that they might have. So give discussion diamonds a try in your classroom. And if you want more, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or feel free to email me. Another great way to grow your personal learning network is to join Kami. Follow them on Twitter, and also you can join the Facebook group where you are able to find like-minded educators, ask questions, and share ideas with the Kami community group. This is a great group that is able to help you problem solve different problems that you might have encounter in your classroom, as well as be thought partners to help you conquer and try new things using Kami. Thanks so much for joining this session.